Thank you for your interest in program portfolios for mathematics programs. We're looking here at the template used by students in the mathematics baccalaureate programs at the University of Alaska, Anchorage. With this particular product, you'll note that we provide a prompt for the students to explain to them what they should enter in each section of the portfolio. In the case of class descriptions and program outcomes, the explanation is a collection of previous students' comments. This allows us to not give overly restrictive instructions, but very specific ideas about the kinds of things for which we are looking. It should be noted that this template, in particular the organization of the class descriptions, is the idea of one of our graduates. We had provided a template, and this student decided it would be easier if things were structured a little differently, in particular guiding students in which things they needed to complete, making sure they hadn't forgotten a particular requirement in there. The graphics in the background are also student work from a course. Next, let's look at a specific portfolio. Edward Hazelton offered his as an example. The home section sometimes has a photo, and sometimes, like Edward, they write a little description about themselves. This is similar in the goals. The class descriptions is where we find a great deal of information for program assessment, determining whether they've understood what the real purpose of the courses are. There's some good examples here. He notes that the fundamentals of mathematics, which is our transition or proofs course, was no joke. More importantly than describing it as rigorous, thinking difficult here, he notes that these skills, the proof and logical thinking, are treasures to be carried forever, recognizes their need in later courses. That theme is continued in his linear algebra description, which he has found exceptionally useful in the programming he's had to do, recognizing the subject matter or skills in other courses. A similar example is in probability and statistics for him, where he notes that these skills and this knowledge were used in internships he had in computer science. We're very excited to see that students recognize the mathematics and statistical knowledge and skills they have built are being used in other math stats courses in other fields, in this case a second major, or in jobs. We want to know that they are cognizant of the value of these things. Another type of comment that we like to see is here in the outcome for knowledge. He references a specific assignment turned in from the fundamentals course and describes it as being easy to disparage looking back upon it because, speaking as a senior, work he had done a couple of years earlier looked very easy, and then notes that his work from his senior year might well look trivial looking back on it in the future. That is, in his own words, he recognizes that he's grown and that he needs to and will continue to grow. So he's aware of the lifelong learning that we are always so interested in seeing. We encourage students to use the same artifact in multiple areas. So not only was that a demonstration of knowledge for a specific course, but he typeset that, and so it was also an example of communication, written communication there. Another example of communication that illustrates the sort of thing for which we are looking is in his final paragraph here, where he talks about presenting, defending, and reworking proofs in classes. This is a communication item because he is communicating what he has learned to the professors and to his classmates. But he also acknowledges that that communication is connected to the learning and understanding because there is this reworking. Also enjoyable for us is to note that he likes sharing this information with people outside, his friends and family. Math isn't just for the mathematician in the classroom. The artifacts section is just the collection of items that they're referencing in these reflection statements for each of the programs, student learning outcomes, and the reflections on the courses. So here is that first example we've talked about, that's typeset, a paper he wrote, and some other assignments in here. We find that these program portfolios are a very handy tool for program assessment. We're able to see by just reading through each of the students' portfolios whether or not they have understood what we are trying to communicate through the courses and what we are trying to achieve through the collection of courses, through the program. We hope that these portfolios are also effective for the students, so that in the process of reflecting on what they have learned, they become aware of the value to themselves, and perhaps most importantly, learn a little bit more by making the connections, by thinking about how each of the topics were connected to each other, how they've grown, and what they can do in the future.